Hello, this is Media Realness. My name is Anantsa.
And I am Aaron.
And welcome.
Welcome back, guys.
We just want to give a huge shout out to the people who reached out to us who said that they really enjoyed last week's episode. That was super nice, guys. Thank you.
It was so sweet and it really touches us. Like it, sometimes when you're recording, it sometimes feels like, like you're just talking into the void. So like having people like comment on that really, you don't know how much that means to us. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Tell your friends we love you.
So let's get into it. His Girl Friday realness.
Serve that realness.
So let's do this from least exciting to most exciting for us. So Ready Player One has cast TJ Miller as the troll, the internet troll. We both of us haven't read this book.
But we have read the Wikipedia.
We have read the Wikipedia. We know that Steven Spielberg is directing it.
Which is nice, especially after his last really boring Bridge of Spies.
Oh god, it was so boring.
I just I couldn't get through it. I didn't care about these spies. I was like, which bridge is it? Who cares?
I watched it because I always watch all of the Best Picture nominees so that I can be informed and tweet my real feelings about how the Oscars were so white, and there's no fucking reason that some of those movies made the list.
Yep, and can I ask you a question about Bridge of Spies? Was there, in fact, a bridge?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. Because I also try to watch all of the movies for the Oscars, too, but, that one was just not the one for me.
It was mediocre as fuck.
Yeah, and, there were some great wins, Brie Larson, she deserved it. Right? That was the same year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So, but other things were just okay.
Yeah.
Sure, thanks, love you.
Sure, Joy, okay.
All right.
This isn't the same David O. Russell movie we've seen 100 times, or at least, 3 times.
Was it called Joy because we were supposed to feel it? It was the woman's name. Okay, yeah, that makes sense because I felt none of the joy.
But from what we have gathered from the Wikipedia and our friends who've read it is that Ready Player One is about a massive multiplayer online RPG that also is a kind of virtual reality society that people choose to live in rather than live in their real world because the real world is shit right now. The currency in the game is more stable than
the currency in the real world. And I think that's such a real problem that can happen someday. Because reality sucks.
And the creator of this game dies and he leaves an Easter egg that is essentially his will. And he says that if you find this Easter egg, you will inherit my estate and you'll be rich in the real world, which is a shitty place right now, but then you'll be winning.
Which I just think is so funny because it just reminds me of the Trojan War. It just reminds me of Eris, the goddess of chaos. She just has this apple and she's like, chaos. His last present to the world was chaos.
It's in Game of Thrones, one of the Targaryen kings, he on his deathbed he legitimizes
all of his bastards,
and he's like, have
fun. He's like, that's gonna be a real interesting, transition.
Bye. So yeah, TJ Miller was cast, and Ty Sheridan is playing the main character Wade, who goes into this game and he beats the first level to get to this Easter egg, and everyone else has kind of given up because no one could get past it, and he gets past it and everyone's just like, ooh, let's try again.
So much like the minor 49ers, they hear the jingle of gold and they're like, yes, bitch, let's explore.
And he was recently cast as he played Cyclops in the new X-Men Apocalypse. And
I like you had said earlier to me, I just feel what's his face?
Bryan Singer.
Yeah, Bryan Singer just hates Cyclops. He really does. He's like, how am I going to piss on Cyclops this time?
So it's nice that he's the lead role in this. So good for you. Opening them doors. But yeah, it's all, and also Simon Pegg is in it, and Mark Rylance is in it. Mark Rylance just won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for Bridge of Spies, so that's probably why he's in this movie.
For Roll My Eyes.
But yeah, so we'll get more news on that because the movie doesn't open until 2018, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll read the book before the movie comes out.
I won't.
The Flash got a new director.
A director?
In the wake of the Batman versus Superman scramble panic. Because WB was like, shit, we were banking it all on this. What do we do now?
When you bet on the wrong horse. When you bet on a man who really just wants to masturbate all over his own movies, and he just loves that nitty gritty bullshit. He just wants
Snyder.
He wants people to idolize him the way they did the Christopher Nolan Batmans and stuff, and that's just gross. We're over it.
I can't. I like, as soon as I saw the Suicide Squad trailer, which came out like right after the Batman vs Superman, I was like, oh, so it's not WB and the DC like cinematic universe in general. It's just Zack Snyder, who I can't stand.
Yeah.
Because that movie looks fun.
Yeah, that movie, because Suicide Squad does look super fun. And Margot Robbie is doing a great fucking job.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Like, as soon as I saw the Batman vs Superman trailer, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this movie. I tried to stay as open-minded as possible, but I was like, I really don't think I'm gonna like this movie.
Well, I mean, you should know our feelings about this movie.
Yeah. So, and we did it. So in the wake of that, there was this whole scramble. Ben Affleck was given executive producing rights over the Batman movie, which he was already directing. And sometimes, like, executive producer can just mean bullshit. It's like, I gave some money. Like,
yeah, I attended a party.
Whatever. Like, I was like, it'd be cute. Like, Daniel Radcliffe's dad is executive producer of the Harry Potter movie. Like, the first two, I think. And it's just like, well, I created Harry Potter.
Like, his sperm produced Daniel Radcliffe, so he's already an executive producer. And I'm excited because I think Ben Affleck is doing that Stephen Amell Arrow universe thing where he really gives a shit about Batman. Mm-hmm. He knows Batman. He wants to put his best foot forward, and that's what matters when it comes to these iconic characters.
Yeah. So the Flash's original director was Seth Grahame-Smith, and he was cut in the culling.
in the cull, the cannons sounded, and they were like, bye.
Bye. And Rick Famuyiwa, which I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, is now the new director. He directed Brown Sugar and recently just directed Dope, which was a dope-ass movie.
He's a Nigerian-American director, and he is bomb as hell. And if you haven't seen Dope, it's on Netflix. And I might force you to watch it if you haven't, because it's a great fucking movie.
It is a great movie. And I think that it really, like, Dope deals with a lot of heavy, dark themes, but they deal with it in a light manner.
In a hopeful way.
In a way that, like, doesn't just feel like, oh, this is really depressing.
Yeah, it's, like, about these kids trying to game the system that is, like, trying to oppress them and figure out how to use that, like, how to use these ideas of, you know, drugs and whiteness and, like, the game itself. They're trying to figure out how to get over it.
Yeah, there's a sense of fun to that movie, and I think that like, not every movie has to be that way, but I think with Flash, that movie has to be that way. So I think this is actually a really, really good choice, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do with it. I really like Ezra Miller. Some people are upset because Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin aren't playing their counterparts in the movies, and they kind of get a little upset about it. But I feel like I understand that, but then Zack Snyder was the one leading the ship, and he was the one who was saying, well, that like their themes and the way that they go about it just doesn't fit my sense of story, which just, they're fun, and we don't have fun in my movies.
We certainly don't have fun in your movies.
And so, like, I get it, but I think it makes it kind of confusing. It's just...
Yeah, it's like these two separate... Like,
worlds.
Yeah, and it's like, who when you talk about The Flash, who are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Who are you talking about, Ezra Miller, or are you talking about Grant Gustin? I need you to tell me. But Ezra Miller is fine.
Oh, he did. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, those premiere pictures at the Batman vs Superman premiere, I was like, is that Ezra Miller?
The perks of being a fine ass man.
I was like, oh shit, look at him and his muscles.
His jawline.
Oh, that jawline, yeah. Oh, I was like, damn. All right. I'll see you.
And I will see you.
And we finally got the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child promo fit pictures, which was super exciting for me because we got to see Black Hermione and we got to see Rose Granger Weasley, or is it Weasley Granger?
I think it's Weasley Granger. Or is it Granger?
Either way.
She's a Granger and a Weasley.
She's Ron and Hermione's child, and she is unapologetically Black in this picture. She has these cute-ass Afro puffs.
She looks like Bumblebee.
She's so fucking adorable, and it just melts my heart, and I'm just so happy, and more importantly, the racists are angry.
Which it's like, once again, the apple of chaos, like, be upset, racists.
Which, like, I'm kind of surprised that, like, it's like with the John Boyega thing when the Star Wars trailer came out and everyone was just like, oh my god, it's a Black dude in the Star Wars. But it's just like, we got this casting list a year ago. Why are you surprised?
Like, what?
Like,
did you take a break from being a racist and come back?
And it's like we knew that, I don't know the actress's name, but we knew that she'd been cast as Hermione and she was Black. And we had this argument on Twitter already. So why are we re-angry? Or are you just mad that you're just like, you see her as Hermione and she has a wand and she's being like, she's married to, like, are you mad seeing a Black woman next to a white man? Like, what are you upset about?
What's the root of this? And also, like, the thing about it is just like, no one has seen it yet. Like, have you seen it? Have you seen the play? Have you gone to it? So you're just mad. They're just mad that
Hermione, like, Hermione is white I mean, it's never explicit in the books. I've looked. There's never any, like, Ron and Neville are pale. Like, they say that. Like, it's explicit. They never say anything about Hermione or Harry. Like, so it's up to you. And we do this thing with stories, especially with books, where it's white until proven otherwise and straight until proven otherwise. So Hermione can be anything. And it's
purposeful. It's purposeful because, like, these two, especially Harry and Hermione, they're the Muggle-born children. And we are all Muggles reading these books. And it's
they're from Muggle society.
We're trying to,
because Harry's a half-blood.
Yeah. These are the characters that we're supposed to insert ourselves in. These two, and Ron is supposed to be representative of the purebloods trying to do better and be more inclusive. Although he has his prejudices and he has to work through them and he has to get over himself and his white privilege. And with pure blood privilege.
I mean, I think in America when we read the books, we saw the blood purity thing as racism.
Because it was.
Well, because in America, that's the bigger issue. But in the UK, it's like, it's a classism thing. Yeah. Because that's like, they're like, it's all intersectional, but they like, since they got rid of slavery before we did and all of that, like, the classism usually is above racism, but it is all intersectional. And so for us in America, we automatically just like, oh, that's racism.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy for a lot of Black Americans who read the book who's just like, well, I see Hermione as Black because I'm connecting that struggle with mine.
And a lot of, like, her identifying markers are Black. Like her big hair. Yeah, like, and also her connection to Spew and the plight of the house elves and Ron's kind of indifference show, like, how coming from these different kinds of communities, coming from with your own struggles, you know, like how that influences your choices and your thoughts. And she was like, she came up to Ron and she was just like, wake the fuck up, Lucas, you know?
Yeah, we just watched the Stay Woke documentary, Black Lives Matters, on BET. And so I will quote Brittany. It's just like, I need you to get woke, stay woke, and act like you woke.
And those are words to live by. Those words are tattooed on my heart.
and I feel like we're just going to keep saying this every episode, that how much representation matters, because we're talking about media in general. So, and we're both people of color, we're both queer. So like, it's important for us to see ourselves in media. And so I'm 24 years old, and I still, when I see fan art of Black Hermione, I still kind of like get a little teary eyed. Like, it just, cause it means so much to me, like how much that, like what that picture and image would have meant to me when I was 12. And to feel like this place that, like Hogwarts, that I consider my home, this place that makes me happy, I am included. And I'm not just a side character. I'm not just 6 minutes in an 8-film saga.
Yeah.
I'm forefront. I'm part of the story. I'm helping. I'm creating a better world. Exactly. And that's important to see.
Exactly.
And JK gets that because, as of course, the Twitter racists got on Twitter and were Twitter racists, as they are. And she said, I had a bunch of racists, and I love how she's just like, no, they're not fans, they're not racist.
They're not advocating for the devil, although why would you want to? They are racists.
I had a bunch of racists telling me that because Hermione, quote unquote, turned white, that is, lost color from her face after shock, that she must be a white woman. Which I had a great difficulty with, but decided not to get too agitated by it. Simply stated quite firmly that Beyonce for some I don't know why Beyonce was on my song. Oh, sorry. And I decided not to get too agitated about it, and simply stated quite firmly that Hermione can be a Black woman with my absolute blessing and enthusiasm.
And if JK's with it, I'm with it. And the problem, like a big problem I've had with JK's writing and self is that sometimes when she should be explicit, she is not explicit. So for her to come out and say, I'm down, is important.
Mm-hmm. And our last story is our precious baby is leaving Hamilton.
Lin-Manuel, the goatee, the angel, he's going. I need to learn how to say goodbye. Teach me how to say goodbye.
Teach me how to say goodbye. Say goodbye. One last time.
One last time.
We knew that their contracts were up in July and that he might be leaving, but we got an official date. His last date will be July 9th. He's going to go on to do bigger things. And
I saw this
be in Mary Poppins.
I saw this post on Tumblr that like spoke to me, and it was like me. Oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda deserves everything. He's so wonderful. Like, he deserves all the great opportunities that are coming to him. Also, me. Lock him in the Richard Wright Theater.
Richard
Rogers Theater.
And now tickets, because he's announced his last date, tickets are starting at a minimum resales at $1,500.
Yo.
With the most expensive being $10,000.
If you got money like that, then just buy it. Just buy the whole thing. You know, like if you can just throw $10, girl.
10,000.
10,000. You know what I mean? That's
$10 is for hand.
Yeah. If you can throw that kind of money, girl, then just ask the actors to come to your gala. You know?
I mean, we were both blessed enough that we were able to see it live.
Thanks to the blood, sweat, and tears of Anansa and our dear friend Brittany.
Yeah, we stood in line for the cancellation line for like 17 hours, but we got those front row tickets.
And he winged at me, guys. he said, hey. And I was like, hey.
He did wink at you.
I died, and I'll never forget him. Never.
I just wish that Broadway is so this like kind of privileged thing. Like I know that it's something that you should see live.
Yes.
Like there's very much a big difference. Like I've seen the clips of Schuyler's Sisters on YouTube, and I've seen the clips of what's the last song?
Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story?
Not that one. Sorry. The big fight song. Sorry. Yorktown, thank you. Sorry. Those clips are on YouTube, and I saw that before I saw the show, and I was like, oh, this is fun, this is cool, but it compares nothing to seeing it live.
And even just listening to the soundtrack, like I was in love with the soundtrack, but seeing it live fucked me up.
But I feel like there's, like, you have to live in New York, or you have to be able to spend enough money to go to New York. You have to be able to afford the tickets, and you probably have to stay at a hotel. Like, that's a lot of money for someone who doesn't live in New York.
Yeah.
And
that's a lot of money for someone who does live in New York.
And that's, like, Broadway tickets are like $100 at minimum. So it's a lot of money. So I feel like there should be a way, like a recording or something. Like, I feel like, I don't know if they think that, like, recording it and showing it will, like, make people not want to see it. Because I feel like people, like, artists create music videos, they still go on tour. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
And there should be a way for someone who's in the middle of Kansas to experience, like, to see what what the performance looks like. Because you just create in your mind, like, you're just like, how does Say No to This play out?
I also think it has a lot to do with, like, the politics of filming it, because, like, they would have to film it. They would have to plan filming it as a performance, so you see all of the beautiful different things. But I also have to give a big shout out to Lynn for creating this with people of color in mind. And that's so important, because Broadway in general has just been such a white art form. So much so that, like, that's the reason him coming in as an actor, as a singer, he was so afraid that's why
he created In the Heights.
Anansa pointed that out to me, and I love In the Heights.
Yeah, he talks about, like, he created In the Heights because he said there's only 3 great roles for Hispanic men in Broadway. Like, you're either Bernardo in West Side Story, you're Paul in the chorus line, or you're the Man of La Mancha. He's like, that's all I got. He's like, so I created a show where there was so many Latina and Latino roles. So because I knew that there weren't a lot of them, because I was going into that world and I was scared. And
then also, like, that just speaks to, like, how many Latina and Latino actors there are out there just holding their breath to be cast in the chorus. You know what I mean? To be cast in the chorus line. So, like, he really filled a need. And with Hamilton, the same. Like,
he continued to push that, and just, like, I want people of color. Like, I know there's so many people, like, talented people of color out there. I'm using hip hop and R&B. Like, this was created by people of color. I want it to be represented that way, and I want them to have a chance.
Also, shout out to him for introducing the world to Miss Philippa.
Is it Philippa?
Philippa.
Philippa.
Yeah. She is everything. Her voice is so fucking clear.
Philippa Sue.
Her voice rings inside of me like a bell.
Her Broadway debut as Eliza Schuyler.
Yeah.
So Lynn will be missed.
We will miss him, just like we'll miss Jonathan, just like we'll miss many, many other people as time goes on.
Who continue, because some of them might go on tour. Some of them so we'll see what happens there. And our last story, I just want to say a quick rest in power to Muhammad Ali.
You were
one of the greatest.
And you were unapologetically Black, and you weren't afraid of how the media would take that. You were just
a confident Black man, and you were just like, this is who I am.
And it's beautiful, and you were an inspiration. And you're still an inspiration to, like, everybody. So float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
And you will be greatly missed. We keep losing these great people. Yeah.
And yet Donald Trump continues breathing. That's how you know that there is a devil out there.
So that wraps up His Girl Friday Realness. If you have any stories that you'd like us to talk about, you can email us at mediarealness@gmail.com. And I'm going to swing it over to Aaron.
Hi. So now we're starting my segment, Netflix and Chill Realness. And the realness that we are serving this time is Save the Last Dance.
Woohoo!
It came out in 2001, and it stars Julia Stiles, Sean Patrick Thomas, right? Yeah. It's the people with the 3 first names. I always like, oh, is that the right one?
Never fuck up Aaron Taylor Johnson though.
Because I would fuck up Aaron Taylor Johnson. Anyway. And young Kerry Washington being amazing, I think Kerry Washington is the backbone of this movie, to be honest. And this movie is very important to me because I am a Latino man, but I am white passing. And so growing up, this movie kind of helped me shift my lens and how I interacted with my own community because my mode of existence was different automatically because I was white passing. And there's this wonderful thing that this movie does that it's just like people try to, like Sarah, try to live in this post-racial utopia, but that world does not exist. Not even in Ready Player One. And it's just like, open your pretty brown eyes. Let's look around. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get further into that later.
Okay, let's give a brief summary of the movie.
Okay, so Sarah is a ballet dancer from not Chicago, Midwest.
I feel like she might be in Chicago. She's just not from the south side of Chicago.
Well, I mean, she was on a hell of a long-ass train ride. So, here we are. But that was never specified. So, and her mother dies, and she has to move in with her estranged father. Mm-hmm. And he lives in the south side of Chicago. Mm-hmm. So, her whole world becomes this predominantly black area. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of shaken up by that. But surprisingly, she is not resentful. She is humble in coming into this experience. She just wants, to be a part, to feel like she belongs. Mm-hmm. That's what a big part of this movie is about. It's about second chances. It's about belonging and figuring out how to navigate this racist ass piece of shit society we live in.
And in this, she moves to Chicago. She falls in love with Derek and becomes friends with Derek's sister, Chanel.
Chenille.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was Chanel.
It's Chenille.
Chenille, my bad. And she has to deal with living in this predominantly black neighborhood and being in an interracial relationship.
And how everyone is going to have an opinion about it. Mm-hmm. And how can she form her own opinion without being an asshole? Mm-hmm. Is basically a big part of this. So I saw, say, The Last Dance when it came out. And I continue to see it. So, as someone, Anansa has never actually seen this movie before, this Netflix and chill, this is a very powerful opportunity for us. Mm-hmm. So tell me your thoughts. Tell me your feelings.
I kind of wish I had seen it when I was younger, because I would have liked to know how my opinions would have changed, because I know they would have. I would know they would have been very different than how I feel now. Because Nikki is the rival, played by Bianca Lawson.
Who never ages. Ever. She's still playing teenagers. And I want to know how. I know how.
And she used to date Derek. And then Sarah, played by Julia Stiles, starts dating him. And she kind of becomes her rival. And she tries to dance up on him on the club. And they get into a fist fight. And Sarah just wants to know, why do you hate me so much? And Bianca's Nikki.
Nikki. My favorite thing, one of my favorite moments from the movie is when Nikki they get into this fight and they're sitting for some reason next to each other. And they're just they're sitting in that, I'm pissed off. And Nikki turns to her and in the venom in her voice is just so intense. And she turns to her and she's just like, it ain't over, bitch.
And Sarah asks her, why do you hate me? She's like, because you always in my way.
And she's like, I'm only in your way when it comes to Derek. So that's what this is about. And the thing about Nikki's character is that Nikki is not wrong. Mm-hmm. She is, however, strong.
Yeah. She goes about it in a very intense and not productive way. So I know if I saw this movie when I was younger, I would have been like, this bitch is crazy. She's so intense. She's being an asshole. And now with my woke mind, those feelings are coming from an angry place. It's coming from a real place. It's coming from a hurt place. It's a profound, I just watched this poem. It's there's a profound sadness that goes along with being despised for no reason.
Yes.
And that manifests. And I know I'm mixed and I'm light skinned, and I used to think that Black girls didn't like me because they thought I was better than them. And that created this kind of tension. And I used to kind of lash out too, and not realizing that dark skinned women have it so much worse. My fight with racism is being fetishized they get compared to cockroaches and gorillas, and it's just, there's this anger that goes by, like it goes behind it, that, yeah, of course you're gonna see me and you're gonna think, oh, look at that bitch with the good hair and like that light skin, think she's better than me. And instead of me understanding where that hurt came from, I kind of internalized that and be like, well, maybe I am.
Mm-hmm. And that's like the natural reaction to be like, well, if you hating on me, you hating on me for a reason, you know?
And I think, yeah, so that's where Nikki's coming from, where it's just, she sees this white girl and all of a sudden she's getting the best man in this town, in this city. Like, she gets Derek, who's he got into Georgetown Medical. Like, he's actually doing something with his life. And then this white girl comes in and gets him.
Yeah. Comes and snatches him up. And that's why I felt that.
Because you white, so you gotta be right.
Yeah. Like, I fell in love with Kerry Washington at this point as a young man, because and Kerry Washington herself has talked about this role. She has said that the thing about Chenille is that I didn't want Chenille to be a stereotype. I would love to have a conversation in private with her about it and get all of her feelings.
Because she could have been. Like, she could have just been the black teenager with a kid who's bothering shit. Yeah.
And Chenille is, she can tell that Sarah's not a bad person and that she wants to take her under her wing. You know, but Sarah's eyes are as open as her eyes are, they're still just as closed. So when at a moment of frustration that later gets talked back, which I don't think Kerry Washington really liked. But she tells Sarah, she's like, there are two worlds. And Sarah's like, no, there's only one world. You're in our world, Chenille says. And Sarah goes, there's only one world. And Chenille replies, no. That's what you're taught. We know different. And she tells her to open up her pretty brown eyes and look around. Look at these black women all struggling, and you just walk, you're white, so you got to be right. And you waltz in and you snatch up the only beacon of hope we have. Especially coming from someone.
And she tells her, you have to, it's not wrong, but you have to understand why that's going to hurt someone.
Yeah, you have to understand, you guys, she says, you guys walk around.
It don't hurt nobody to see all together.
Exactly. And it was such an important moment for both the character and I think for a lot of black women out there. I think that this movie had this important message that wake the fuck up. Don't.
Need you to get woke,
stay woke, and act like you woke. And I think that's a big part of Sarah's arc.
And because I feel with the whole black men being with white women, and what angers black women about it, it's not that you're choosing, you fell in love and you love this white woman. It's that usually that comes with hatred of black women. It usually comes with, black women gotta watch out now that white women getting fat asses. So you only wanted me because I have this physical attribute, or black women are just they're just gross. They're this, they're that. It always comes with this dismissive and very hurtful words that come with, I'm dating a white woman because they're better than black women.
And that goes back to misogynoir is such a big thing, because black women are the most, Malcolm X said, they're the most disrespected people in America.
Yeah. I think it was Tumblr where it's just no one loves black men more than black women. And then it was no one loves black women more than black women. It's
it becomes the woman's responsibility to uplift everyone, whereas no one wants to uplift her. And that's a shame. And I think that's a big thing that this movie touches upon. Another thing that this movie touches upon that I enjoyed a lot is that it contextualizes hip hop culture as black culture. And it doesn't, and Sarah herself, she's just I've heard it before. It's just not where I'm from. And so she learns how to dance this style, and she learns it from Derek, and in a way he kind of he's this is you have to, the movements mean things, it's like that moment where he's just in this kind of dance, it's I'm pushing myself into your space and you're challenging me back. And that's that is to me very powerful, to just be this is our culture, we made it. No, not me personally, it's not mine, but this is black culture, black people made it. you can come and you can enjoy it. It's cultural appropriation versus appreciation, which is a big theme in this movie. Did you have feelings about how dancing was used in this movie?
No, not really. Like,
well, I think that this movie was part of a big resurgence of the performative film, the dance craze movie, you know, like films like Step Up and all that, because like I think in that time period, to contextualize where it came from, I think the early 2000s, that's when, you know, technology was shifting to such a point, and everybody, like, you know, American Idol was sprung up. Everybody wanted to be a star. Everyone wanted their themselves to stand above the crowd. And so that's why these inspiring movies about art resurged. And
I think, like, as you mentioned, I think as we were talking before, that a big part of understanding media is understanding the context in which it was made. And so, like, I don't think that the dance and performative had a really big impact on me because I didn't see it in the time. That probably was something really big at the time. But now it's like we're sad, like we're on like what, the 5th or 6th Step Up movie.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And like that sort of performative thing has trickled down all the way to like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel and all of those things, like Victorious and like these shows. Glee, you know, it's about like using these arts to find out who you are and to not let anyone silence you. And in that same way, like she, through, you know, hip hop culture, Sarah finds herself again as a ballerina, which is her culture. And it changes her view on dance. And dance has always been culturally a form of shaking oppression. And I just think that's beautiful. And I love the soundtrack, bitch.
The soundtrack is pretty dope.
Murder, She Wrote. That's my fucking favorite song to dance to. Are you kidding me? That song is so
yeah, no, the club that they went to, Steps. Like, I want to go to that club.
And my favorite thing about Steps is that Steps looks like a real club. It's not glamorized in any side. It's like it looks like it's hot and sweaty in there, but you're going there to get drunk and have a good time. Don't lie to yourself. You know, I think that's amazing. And another scene is when Nikki is talking. It gets introduced to her. And one of the things that happens is Nikki's like, oh, you brought the white girl to the Negro club. And Chenille is just like, who the like, she was just like, what? And she's just like, I'm not going to walk on eggshells because you brought the Brady Bunch. And I just think, and Nikki's whole thing is just that just goes back to that like internalized hate for her to refer to her and her people as Negro. You know, for Sarah to just be like, no, we're people, whatever, you know. Also, shout out to Diggy. Diggy is such a funny, I like laugh out loud at all her lines because she's just like, and the fact that Chenille addresses her, she's like, this is Diggy, she thinks she's down. And Diggy's like, no, I am down. And I just think that was an important like juxtaposition.
Distinction of what white people think versus what black people think.
Exactly. Yeah. So I
really enjoyed it, though. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. I definitely do wish that I had seen it when I was younger, because I had seen Do the Right Thing when I was like 16. And then I saw it again, like my second or third year in college, and just comparing how I felt about it was just, that was a wake up call of just like, oh wow, how much you've changed and how you see the world. And because when I first saw it, I thought, why is everyone so mad? Like, I thought everyone was in the wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, everyone's being racist, everyone's being ridiculous. And then going to a school that allowed me to have this liberal education and see the world as the structurally oppressive America that it is, understanding where that anger comes from. That anger doesn't come from anywhere. That anger comes from 400 years of systematic oppression. And that doesn't just go away. Even
more than that. Like, we recently watched this Oxford talk by Akala. And Akala is a beautiful man. And he's so brilliant in the way he talks about things. And his talk was about how history is shaped by whiteness. And like how like people don't believe that before slavery, Africa had a history. Yeah, our history, like our Black history, even in the UK, because he's from the UK, is simply the transatlantic slave trade, Martin Luther King, and now. Yeah.
And that kind of learning about yourself that way makes you think that, well, what am I? What am I capable of? What can I do? What have I I haven't contributed anything to society. So like all of this comes back to where Black people are coming from, and understanding that makes you understand, well, this is why Nikki is angry. This is where Chanel is coming from.
Yes.
Like it informs how you watch the movie and whether or not you see these characters as, oh, they're just being bitches.
And it also informs, I think, the how history is framed is so important because it's framed by the conquerors, not the conquered. And it goes to show,
the history is written by the victors.
Yeah.
Who lives, who dies, who tells your story.
And it goes like, and back to like talking about like Exodus, like he was talking about that as well. Like people make choices. People in part of the film industry, they make choices. They make choices to make the Egyptian royalty Christian Bale white, and to make all the slaves and everyone, the servants, Black. That's a choice that has been...
A casting director decided.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a choice that has been for like this whole life. Like all of it. All of the beginning of history, you know? Like
the beginning of the moving picture.
And it's like you have to take everything as propaganda and with a grain of salt. Like you have to understand that choices are being made by people, and people have agendas, and agendas aren't necessarily a bad thing. Like we have an agenda with this show, just like he had an agenda with his talk. It's about knowing that there's more and to seek and be open to new information. Yeah. So, Netflix and Chill is my favorite segment, but I know specifically that it hurts Anansa sometimes, the choices that I make in my own agenda. So this week, for next week's Netflix and Chill, I'm giving a gift, a precious little Easter egg. And the Netflix and Chill for next week is Anansa's choice.
Woohoo. I think we're going to do Dope. I want to talk about Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people haven't seen it because it was kind of an indie movie. So,
yeah.
And now it's on Netflix, and so y'all can all enjoy it, and we can have a great discussion about it.
And it's a fucking hilarious movie. Like, I'm excited. Get excited.
Let's get excited. So if you have anything that you'd like us to watch on Netflix, you can email yeah.
You can email us.
Words mean things.
You can email us at mediarealness@gmail.com.
Woohoo. Our last segment is Primetime Realness.
And for this week, we are serving the Avatar: The Last Airbender realness.
Because Aaron just watched it over.
I'm currently in the middle of Legend of Korra, but we can't talk about Korra without talking about Avatar.
And we can't talk about both because we don't have enough time. So we're going to do Avatar.
We're just going to do Avatar this week. Now, Avatar: The Last Airbender is such an fucking important show.
It's such an important show. And I didn't watch it. Again, what was I doing during my childhood? I was being an angry goth. That's what I was doing with angry purple hair. So I wasn't in anything in the mainstream. But I did not watch Avatar: The Last Airbender while it was on. I didn't watch it until the first season of Legend of Korra came out. Because I was on Tumblr at the time, and Tumblr kept just GIF after GIF set after GIF set after Tumblr post was like Legend of Korra, and I was like, what the fuck is this show? And I think the episode after we get the flashback and we see everyone, and there was a GIF set of their younger selves with their future selves.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I guess I have to watch this show.
Take it back.
Like I have to watch the show. And at the time, it was all on Netflix. It's since been removed, and I just binge watched the shit out of it.
It's also all on Amazon Prime if you have that, because I just recently binge watched the shit out of it as well.
And then I binge watched it, and then I told my dad and my mom about it, and then we binge watched it again. And I'm pretty sure, because I watched it during the summer, because Legend of Korra came out in the summer, that I just kept watching it over and over and over that summer.
Because it's such a good... Okay, so a lot of people look down on animation as like a child's tool for narrative or whatever, but animation has a long history of telling it like it the fuck is. And Avatar: The Last Airbender is an example of amazing storytelling. Like, they came with a story to tell, and they told it, and they broke my heart in so many pieces, and they put it back together. And Avatar has so many lessons to teach us.
That's what I love about Avatar. It's like, here's a contained story. That's sometimes what I get upset about network television, because it just goes and goes and goes, and then the message that originally was there is lost because, well, this is a hit show, so we're just gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep beating this horse until no more money comes out. Like, Supernatural should have ended.
Looking at you, Supernatural, season 5 the most. Sometimes here's looking at you a little bit, Grey's Anatomy, but also I love Grey's Anatomy, so I'm trying. But the thing about
Avatar was a smooth 3 seasons, and it told a story.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that each season is like 24-ish episodes, something like that. But even the throwaway episodes,
the filler episodes,
were so good.
They're character episodes. Like, you learn they're not throwaway episodes. They're filler episodes in which you get to learn characterization about the characters. Like, you have the beach episode in the third season,
the Amber Island,
and no, it's called The Beach, where it's the 4 of them and they're just chilling.
Yeah, and
it's Zuko, Azula, Ty Lee, and May, and you learn about their backstories and, like, in a way that doesn't seem cliche or weird. And, like, when Azula even tells her backstory, it was just like, my mother thought I was a monster. Like, she is kind of even laughing about it, and, like, that's the way she would say it, but you're just like, damn, girl.
That's how you would, like, because, like, I think in general people are so afraid of themselves. They're so afraid to be vulnerable. And I think especially for Azula, who is the Fire Nation princess, she's the prodigy, she's everyone's hope for the Fire Nation. She's, murderous and lustful and for power and everything like that. But to see Azula just kind of like say, she said, my own mother thought I was a monster. She was right, of course, but it still hurt. And for her, like, that was just like, I see who you are. I know you now. Those are Avatar's filled with so many beautiful moments like that. And a big theme in Avatar is finding out who you are and forging your own path. And all of the main characters kind of go through this. With Aang, the story begins because he rejected being the Avatar. And just to give you a little history, the Avatar is an embodiment of balance. He has in this universe, there are 4 nations, and each nation can bend an element.
Not everyone, like Sokka can't.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone, but the nations were founded upon the properties of
their elements. There's the Fire Nation, the Earth Kingdom, the Water Tribes, and the Air Nomads. And
there's a cycle because the Avatar has to be born in each nation so that he knows he or she knows what it's like to live as those people.
The Avatar is reincarnated, and there's a cycle.
And so he's born into the Air Nomads, and he's told at a young age, because everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. The Fire Nation decided that it was living the best life, and it was going to give its life to all these barbarians. That sounds really familiar. I don't know where I heard that before.
Yay, colonization.
But so he's told 12 and traditionally you're told when you're 16, and that's when your training as the Avatar begins. But he was told when he was 12, and he was overwhelmed. Like, imagine being a 12-year-old. And you're told that your responsibility is to save the whole world. You have to end it wasn't 100-Year War at the time, but the war just started. And it's like, it's your responsibility to help end this war. And so he runs away, and he gets in trouble. And in the Avatar state, which is like a defense mechanism, where all the Avatars imbue them with his wisdom so that he can survive. He protects himself and freezes him in ice. And 100 years pass, and Katara and Sokka find him.
And from the Water Tribe, the Southern Water Tribe.
Water Tribe. And the whole first book, which is water, and I think it's very metaphorical, because water is the element of change. And in the whole first book is him accepting what it really means to be the Avatar. And it culminates in such beautiful moments. Like in the last episode of the first season, he's in the Northern Water Tribe learning how to waterbend, and he the war has come to the Northern Water Tribe, and it has been basically untouched, unconquerable, because the Fire Nation is accustomed to bending fire, and they're in the North Pole, surrounded by ice and sea and snow and all this. And so he's like, oh, the spirits, because he has a deep connection to the spirit world. The spirits will help me. The spirits will help me, because, you know, he was still trying to get away from his responsibility a little bit. But then he goes into the spirit world and finds out that you're the Avatar, baby girl. The spirits need your help. And so it culminates with him just kind of being like, I am the Avatar. I have to save the world. And I just have goosebumps, and watching waterbenders kick major ass, watching spirits be like, that was my...
And then, like, there's just, everyone gets a storyline. Like, it's not just Aang's story, it's everyone's story, and it's everyone just trying to survive in this world. Like, you have Sokka's beautiful romance with Princess Yue.
Who becomes the moon.
She becomes the moon.
My first girlfriend became the moon.
And Katara learning that she herself is also a waterbending prodigy. Sokka is a non-bender, but Katara was a waterbender, but there were no more waterbenders in the Southern Water Tribe, so she could never learn. So she was learning herself. And so on this adventure to the Northern Water Tribe, she's taught herself. And by this point, when she meets the master in the Northern Water Tribe, who is a sexist asshole...
Yeah. Because the rules of the Northern Water Tribe are different. Women don't learn to fight.
They learn to heal. And she challenges him and
slaps the shit out of him. So he's like walking away from her, trying not to fight. And she like water whips his face.
She holds her own against a master, which like shows her own, like she in herself is a prodigy, and all she needed was a little bit of guidance.
And also, my favorite thing about Katara of the Southern Water Tribe is Katara will slice your face off. Like, there have been many times where, like, there's a slow-mo that Katara's bending at an enemy, and they barely miss the face. So Katara,
and their hair gets cut, and you're just like, oh, shit.
Katara will fuck it up.
Then the second season is Earth.
And that was Aang, I think, confronting the fact that as the Avatar... you have to be the voice. Like, he's accepted this burden, but...
Earth is the element of stability.
Of substance. Of stability. And and earthbending is so different from airbending, which is about freedom and letting go of the earth and all this. But he has such a hard time learning how to do it, because as an earthbender, there's no fancy feat, no way around it. You confront the problem head on, which is what he needed to learn. You have to confront the issue to bring balance. And in a scene where he consults all of some past avatars of each nation, he speaks to the one from the Earth Nation, from the Earth Kingdom.
Avatar Kyoshi.
Also Avatar, bad bitch. Avatar doesn't give a fuck. You don't give me orders, Avatar. She's my favorite Avatar. She tells him, she's like, only justice will bring peace. So you have to act. And my favorite thing on Tumblr was someone was like, he says immediately after she disappears, like, I knew I shouldn't fucking ask Kyoshi. Because like someone made a gift set of her giving him this advice.
And then disappearing.
And she goes, someone's just like, Aang, Avatar Kyoshi, what should I do? And they just put a gif from Kill Bill of Lucy Liu being like, tear the bitch apart!
That is what Avatar Kyoshi is about. And we also, in that season, were introduced to Toph.
Who is so funny.
And so important. Like, someone tried to say, someone had said that Toph was such an important character because it was a character who had a disability, who was still a strong character, but her disability was still a factor. Like, she couldn't see things. Like, when she's in the sand part of the Earth Kingdom, like, she can't see anything because the way that she sees is by vibrations vibrating off of things, but the sand's moving too much. So it's never like, she does have to deal with this disability. And someone said that, oh, well, she's not disabled, she can kick ass. And you can still be disabled and kick ass.
Much like Clint, Hawkeye. Not in the movies, but in the book.
Ferocia. And Like, you can still have a disability and still be a badass.
And the best
that's
thing
so
about
important. And she doesn't get her sight. Like, it's not, I feel like a lot of times with disabled characters, it's like, oh, you fight this monster, you fight this dragon, you get to the end, and like, here, the thing that you were missing this whole time, you get it back. Like, that never happens to her. She is always blind, and she still succeeds.
She's the best earthbender in the entire world.
And she doesn't succeed in spite of her disability. She succeeds because of her disability.
She learns early from the badger moles that it's a different way of interacting with the world. And she takes that to heart. And she is just so amazing that she creates an entire new style of bending. Mm-hmm. Because she's blind, she can see through the bullshit. And that's amazing. And at the end of the second season, we learn a lot more about the spirituality of Avatar, and he meets the guru, Guru Patik, and he takes him through his chakras. And these chakras, each chakra has an emotion tied to it. It's very tied to the Eastern philosophy of chakras and all that. But he learns from this thing that, like, as the Avatar, you have to detach yourself from the things that connect you personally to the world, because you are big picture, baby. Mm-hmm. You have to think about the best. And his chakra gets locked because of Azula's bitch ass coming in and manipulating everything. But going into the third book, Fire, he feels defeated. Mm-hmm. And fire is the element of power. And that's him gaining his power back, learning that after trauma, you can still succeed. And that's beautiful.
And one of my favorite things about Avatar is when we get to the Fire Nation, because every book is an element in every season, we go to that nation or kingdom. So we're finally in the Fire Nation, and it's this big bad enemy who, like, they started the 100-Year War. They're the enemy. They're bad people. Evil. And then we get to the Fire Nation, and you realize they're just people whose government is telling them that this is the way it is. And you have that amazing storyline with Zuko. Mm-hmm. And he's just such a beautiful character, because Zuko's the prince of the Fire Nation, and he's been exiled, and it's his job to find the Avatar, and he's been hunting the Avatar throughout all the seasons. And he finally, in the end of the second season, they kind of corner Aang, but they just get away, but he's proven himself enough that he can come back home. But him being in the world and seeing what it's like outside of the Fire Nation has shown him that it's not, they hate us. And he finally confronts his father, and he's like, I've worshipped you my whole life. I thought this was the right thing, but they hate us.
We're not giving them.
We're supposed to be spreading the prosperity of the Fire Nation throughout the world. And
there is none. We're destroying human life, and
Zuko taking his power.
Yeah. And that's the big thing about this, is that people learning that their destiny, while, it's not set in stone or whatever, but it's about your destiny is your choice. Mm-hmm. That, circumstances help create destiny, but at the end of the day, you choose whether or not you do good, right by the world, or you don't. Mm-hmm. And that was a big thing that Aang faced in the last book, because everyone was telling him, you have to kill him. You have to kill Fire Lord Ozai. And that's the only way to bring peace. Everyone, even himself, his past lives. But he didn't think that
would fundamentally go against everything he believed in.
Yeah. And so he finds a way, like an airbender, he finds a way around it. He finds a way to bring peace and justice without causing more pain. Mm-hmm.
And it's just, the show just has such good characterization, and
everyone is so deep.
Well written. And I really just love that you just see that the Fire Nation, the people, even the soldiers, even the army, like, they're not bad people.
They're just people.
They're just, and that's like the one criticism I have. I've just recently reread the Harry Potter books. Like, I wish J.K. did that with the Slytherins. Like, to understand that they're not bad people. Like, they're coming from a certain area, like certain space. They're coming from a certain background that makes them feel this way, or makes them feel like they don't have a choice. Like Zuko.
Mm-hmm. And getting to know the most terrifying person in the Fire Nation is Azula, because everyone's fucking scared of Azula. It was a 13-year-old girl. 14-year-old girl. And that's another thing. All of these characters are kids. Mm-hmm. And that's what speaks to so many of us, that even children have the capacity to understand and save the world. We find out that like everything has something behind it. Every character, even the worst character, which is Azula, she is so deeply flawed and so hurt, and the only thing she had,
by thinking, like, by knowing that her mother knows that she's a monster,
and that the only way she can get people to care about her is through fear. And she, when there's this important moment by Ty Lee where Ty Lee, she's about to hurt
May was with Zuko, and she lets Zuko get away, and Azula says, "Why did you do that?" And May tells her and like confronts her. She's like, "I love Zuko more than I fear you." She says,
"I guess you miscalculated. I love Zuko more than I fear you." And Azula is about to strike her with lightning, and she says, "No, you miscalculated. You should have feared me more." And Ty Lee, who's mechanically timid and only wants to be happy and good, and she will follow Azula anywhere, basically, she steps in and stops Azula, and that betrayal shatters Azula's
that
peace
both
of mind.
her supposed friends, May and Ty Lee, chose not to be with her and she thought that fear would be enough, and then realizing that fear doesn't create real friendships, and she has no one.
Mm-hmm. And the fight scene and the fight scene between her and Zuko is so amazing. And the animation throughout the whole thing.
The music is so good.
It's like,
and you feel bad for her in the end. Like when she gets chained up and she starts crying and fire, you're like, God damn, girl.
You're in a corner and you have nothing. You have no one. And it's like
barely a victory.
Story. It's a perfect story, you guys. That's the realness that we are serving. It's amazing. Please go watch it. I will watch it with you. I will. I can have an entire episode dedicated to, and I probably will, because I do whatever I want.
To quote Trixie Mattel and Katya, because this is our show and not yours. Ooh. So I think that's it.
That's it for Media Realness this week. If you have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to tell us, you can email us at mediarealness@gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter, hit us on Instagram, all at Media Realness. Come on back next week while we discuss amazing things.
As I was not paying attention at all. I'm sorry. Did you? Did you give the end note? You would, like you said, all the email stuff.
And the Twitter and everything.
Okay, I totally blanked out.
It's totally fine. This is actually like our third take, so we're working on it. So you can join us next week on Media Realness. My name is Aaron, and this week I am asserting that. Ang realness, I got this burden of being great, and I gotta give it to the world.
And I'm announcing I am serving that chenille realness, in which I need you to get woke,
stay woke, and act like you woke
realness. Just get on it, guys.
Join us next time.
Bye.
Bye.